Let me show you my illustrated travel journal. In this video, I'm going to share with you why I made this book, how I made it, and what tools and materials I used. For those of you who've been following along with my social media recently, you would know that I just went on a 4-month-long holiday trip with my little family in a caravan. I knew that I was going to be away from the studio for a long time, and I wanted to have a little bit of a creative project to work on while we were traveling. I also wanted to create something that would document our trip in a really beautiful way and create a lasting memento of our travels. Something that was a bit more special than just the bunch of photos that I knew I'd end up with on my phone. So I decided to create an illustrated travel journal, which is essentially just a written travel journal with a bunch of little illustrations around the text to highlight certain things we saw or did on the trip. Now, I want to point out that I was not working on this sketchbook every day. I was making the most of my holiday. This was really a little side project for the quiet times we got on our trip. I would go days, even weeks, without touching the sketchbook, but I did always look forward to the opportunities that I got to work on it. So that I knew what I would actually include in the journal, I developed a really simple system where I would just keep a written list of notes in my phone of the various places that we'd been and the particular things that we'd done in each place. I also took thousands of photographs, as anyone does on holidays. Because I had the sketchbook in the back of my mind when I was taking my holiday snaps, I was conscious to photograph things that I knew would make good drawing reference later in my sketches. So when I finally did get a quiet moment to work on the sketchbooks, which was usually when my kids were having one of their day naps, I would start by planning out the illustrations that I wanted to include on a page. I usually worked on a double-page spread at a time. And I took a lot of care to compose my drawings so that they felt balanced on the page and that I left plenty of space for all of the written details that I also wanted to include. I would start by sketching my illustrations out in lead pencil, using the photos that I'd taken with my phone as reference. Once I was happy with the sketches, I would then add some colour and texture with a bit of watercolour paint. Now, I think watercolour paint is the perfect medium for this type of project because it's a really portable system that's quick and easy to use. Using just one paintbrush, I was able to add colour, texture, and detail in just a few minutes without making a huge mess. And I think it really helped to bring my illustrations to life. I also like to outline my illustrations with some fine line marker work, and I use a permanent marker here so it won't be reactivated by the watercolour paint. I feel that this step really neatens up the illustrations and makes them all look consistent across the book, even if they were drawn months apart. It's also a great way to add some fine texture and detail that can be really hard to achieve with watercolour alone. Once my illustrations are done, it's time to add the text in, and I of course use all the stored notes in my phone as a guide for this. The text just lists things that we did, places we saw, and other funny or special things that I wanted to remember. I also like to sometimes add some little labels on my illustrations themselves where they're relevant. A full list of the specific tools and materials that I use for this travel journal are listed below if you're interested. And now I'm actually thinking of developing an online course in nature journaling where I will share really detailed instruction and tips for this kind of sketchbook work. If that's something that you think you might be interested in, let me know in the comments below.